How are we doing? How's everybody doing this morning? All good? We've got 5 minutes roughly to the open. DAX this morning has had a little gap up, but nothing dramatic, which has already been filled. So no gap fills this morning to play. I did take a short this morning on my funded account up here, which has worked out quite nicely. Had a terrible day yesterday. Nearly hit the loss limit yesterday. So taking a step back today. Not going to trade today. Need to refocus. $2,400 loss yesterday, which is about a third of my profit for the last few weeks. So big loss day, unfortunately. But got caught out basically just trading M1. That M1 fade, just couldn't get that M1 fade yesterday, which really hurt. So, but it happens. Morning, Jacob. Morning, Diamond. We'll have a look at where we are at the moment. There's a few ADRs hit again. These yens again. God, these yens. Still, actually, this one's hit to the downside this time, which is not too bad. But it's still pushing up at the moment. It's really difficult to know what's going on with these yens. The Bank of Japan isn't stepping in to do anything at the moment. We've had some downside during the Asian session, but nothing dramatic. We haven't had reversal alerts. Had a big push up and then a push down, as you can see on New Zealand dollar yen. US dollar yen came straight down fairly quickly during Asia, but is pushing back up again at the moment. So it's very difficult to tell whether or not this is just a little bit of a pullback before the next push, or whether this is the start of a move. I suspect it's probably not the start of a move. But these things are off the scale, really are. Massive ADR push yesterday. This is kind of this drop that we've got at the moment is, sorry, bear with me a second, just try and find my pen. Where's it gone? I have this trouble every morning. It's just not there. Exit. Start it again. There we go. Pen. So yeah, we had this big move. Up obviously yesterday of ADR, and then we've had the pullback on the US dollar yen. We've hit ADR to the downside during the Asian session, but likelihood is this is just a pullback push. There's nothing really fundamental changed, morning Andy, about the yen overnight. There's been no news really that is kind of positive. There has been news basically which has caused these spikes, but I don't think it's anything that's going to fundamentally change anything. The fact that they're watching closely is another given. It's not as if they're going to not watch closely what's going on with the devaluation of their currency. But yeah, nothing particularly dramatic came out. It has had a decent drop, but I can't see it being something that is necessarily going to fundamentally change what is going on with the yen at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But yeah, pound yen hit to the downside. US dollar yen. So I mean, these are kind of our ADR reversals this morning. Should be taking it long, really. But I'm just staying out of the yen at the moment. It's too volatile, too difficult to know which way it's going. High reward trades if you get into them, and if they work, but very difficult to tell what's going to happen with them. So leaving those alone. So those are the only ADRs we've got this morning. DAX and the indices. Yesterday, DAX had a nice big up day. Didn't come off the highs at all yesterday. This thing just went yesterday, sat around, accumulated, popped up a little bit, pulled back off the highs, didn't really have any drop whatsoever. So looking for a down day today if we're going to continue in this bear move. We've gapped up ever so slightly and filled that and pushed down pretty hard at the open. We're just starting to push down again. All the indices seem to be doing very similar sort of thing this morning. Obviously the DAX is the most vicious, obviously, because that's the one that's open for trading. Well, they're all open for trading, but that's the one that's obviously going to have all the liquidity this morning. So yeah, all good moves up across the indices yesterday. But obviously everything else managed to pull back off the highs, apart from the DAX. So depending on your view as to whether we're in this bull or bear market still, it's looking to me as if we are still coming down for the next bear leg. But obviously there is the option and the view out there that this is a pullback for the next leg up. So very, very difficult to decide really. Wow, a lot of volatility this morning. Where we're going, we're in an accumulation, and we have been for the last week and a half. So at the moment the market is literally just sort of sitting sideways looking for a direction, specifically on the DAX. So I'm looking short. I'm already short on it with one position this morning, and I've just entered a second position short with an average at 14,194. So my average is just above that black line there. So basically, yeah, looking for downside today across all of the indices. I'm not going to trade 1 minute charts today. Got too chopped around yesterday, trying to get some direction on those. Wow, the FTSE's coming down really hard at the open as well. Big moves down on the FTSE. DAX obviously coming down fairly nicely as well. There's my initial position up there. I had a position up here. I took a position at the highs up here. I took that one off around about break even. Second position there. Third position just entered on the shorts there. So yeah, big sell off across the board at the moment on the DAX. Do I leave them running? Are we going to go for a down day today? So I'm looking today ideally for a playback into this sort of area, if this is going to be a pullback. Slightly worried about a push higher again today at the start to come and take out these highs. We finished basically at the highs yesterday. So it's a bit of a tricky one to play today, which is why I'm going to sort of leave it to open a little bit. We've got this support here. There's a number of different support levels basically, which any one of these we could be bouncing off, because obviously we are just in a range at the moment. So we're looking for areas of support potentially to use either on the way down or as a springboard to make a new high. So looking at all these levels really to decide sort of what's going to happen with price action when we get to each of them. So we've got the sort of Asian session high there, London, and then that level there. So those are the areas, and potentially this level here as well, where we're potentially going to get some price action at. So we'll see what happens at the open, but looking for shorts really. So looking for pullbacks and short positions. So stops, sell stops underneath the lows basically is the plan for today. But as I say, going to be trading M5 rather than M1. Morning, Stevie. We'll have a look for all the FX pairs as well. See where we're going there. Wow, FTSE's really coming down hard this morning. Just deciding what to do with that second, earlier position. We are pulling back off the lows quite considerably. If I don't make a decision soon, I'm going to lose all that. I banked 460. Decisions. Nasdaq's just retesting these lows. We've pulled off these lows. The thing that worries me about the Nasdaq is this. I've got a feeling we want to push a little bit higher, and that's going to drag all the indices with it. But they may not do that this session. Let's give that a couple of minutes. We've got 38 seconds left on this 5-minute opening range. Let's see where we go from here. Just looking at the FTSE, massive tank on the FTSE there. It's just starting its little pullback at the minute, but that was a big move to the downside. So I'm just waiting to see what happens with the FTSE, because the FTSE and the DAX quite often will move fairly in sync at the open. So I'm just waiting to see what happens on the 1-minute chart as to whether or not we get that continuation move to the downside on the FTSE, because if it does, I should probably leave that DAX running. Right. Big old opening range again this morning. Right, so let's have a look at the FX pairs while we're waiting. So ADRs at the moment, obviously mainly yen based. Excuse me, all come off the lows. Quite nice bounces as well at ADR. So we literally had the ADR push down. They all pretty much came off of ADR very nicely off of 100% level. The only one that didn't was the US dollar yen. That one pushed back down to 125. All had reverse alerts. Morning, Rahat. Tricky to tell whether or not we're going to get this push up. As I say, I'm not going to be trading the yens myself. I've got a feeling this is just a little bit of a pullback, a bit of a news spike basically on what was said overnight. But there's nothing fundamentally changed, so I can't really see any reason why the yen would power up at this particular point. But you never know. It's got to start at some point. Like I said in the Telegram group this morning, at some point the Bank of Japan is going to intervene, and they are going to stop this devaluation. But they are in an awful lot of trouble debt-wise at the minute. The economy's not doing well. They're just really in a rut until they stop sort of all the bond purchasing and propping up the currency, which is deflating dramatically. It's difficult to tell how they're going to get out of the situation, but at some point they are going to have to step in and do something about it, in which case then money will start to come back in to the yen. But the timing of that is very, very, very difficult. It's something will be announced that will probably just get a flurry of orders coming into the yen, and then it will just power up and it will go, and we'll get that opposite move happening on the yen. Big pullback down to sort of the 72 moving average on the daily, and just a big drop. But timing it is virtually impossible, and everything is sort of breaking out now and making new highs. So there's nothing fundamentally, when you go back in time, there's nothing fundamentally that we can use really as levels of support and resistance until you get back to weekly highs, which are miles away in the grand scheme of things. We're days and days away from getting anywhere near these levels. So any type of minor pullback on these yens, I just don't trust. We've had them before. Yeah, these big flurries and pullbacks, big flurry, pullback, same sort of thing. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning. And we're just not getting anywhere. So I'm just leaving them alone at the moment. The vast majority of stuff that is extended on the 4 hour is the same. So it's your, bloody hell, this moving. It's a complete reversal on that. That's just stopped me out. Jeez. Definitely need to take a week off. I'm not doing any scalping at the moment. Just can't get it right at the moment. So most of the stuff that's extended on the RSI is yen based as well. So kind of rubbing all these off at the moment. There's no way I'm trading the yen while it's in its current situation. I need to see some kind of higher time frame reversal, and then a pullback, and then a move down to give some kind of indication that that is basically now where we're going to be going. So waiting on the yens. So the only other things we've got extended at the moment are things like the Aussie dollar Swiss. Very nice push up on the Aussie dollar Swiss. Not quite up to any support resistance levels at the moment, but very nicely extended there. Aussie dollar is a long, as we can see at the moment. So we broke out of these highs, had a nice pullback into the 24, and we've basically been supported off the 24. So would be a counter trend move basically to short that. These highs though, quite possibly where we're going to get that sort of short and that pullback happening. So anywhere around 100, 125 ADR today, potentially good looking opportunity. Drop down onto lower time frames and wait for reversal alert. You've had one on M5, just forming one at the moment on the 15-minute chart as well. But I prefer to see this get a little bit higher, ideally, if it can today. Morning, David. So yeah, Aussie dollar Swiss looking nice, extended to the upside. CAD Swiss as well. Decent push on the 4 hour. Again, if you come out, there's not really any major support. We've broken out to new highs. Everything's breaking out to new highs. We're going completely sideways at the moment. It's very, very tricky. But yeah, very nicely extended. We did get extended obviously last week as well at these highs. Looked like we were getting a lovely reversal starting, and then it just accumulated and went pop, broke out of those highs up there. So again, new legs starting to the upside. This is bullish at the moment. So potential pullback on this, where we are at the minute, is going to be, could well be anywhere sort of around these levels. So again, you haven't got far potentially at the moment before we get a big push to the upside. The Swiss franc's really got nothing at the minute. Very, very weak. So Swiss franc, we've got the CAD Swiss and the Aussie Swiss both in the same situation. Euro Swiss is also there. Euro Swiss, I had shorts on this, got stopped out on this one yesterday as well, as we pushed up and took out these highs. So we're just pulling up into the 24.72 zone at the moment, which is a very nice area, which is where I'm looking for shorts. We're just doing a nice reversal at the moment on the Euro Swiss. Had a 15-minute reversal alert this morning during the Asian session, which is just retesting right now on this candle. So again, looking really, really good for shorts. It's in a much better spot than it was when I took it down here. I was looking for basically these levels to hold, which they didn't. Then I was looking for that level to hold, which didn't, and that's where I got out of the trade. So we're in a much better spot now on the Euro Swiss for shorts. But again, the Swiss franc, very, very weak. So we've got nice accumulation there. We've got a couple of highs coming up where we've respected the 72. We're approaching this accumulation, this balance area here, which is a previous area we've traded at. And that coincides nicely with the 72. So if we turn here, potentially we've got a nice big drop, tons and tons of space to the downside. Obviously it's going to take a week or so to get down there, but we've got this level as well to be looking at. So looking pretty good for shorts, and coming down very nicely at the moment. Tempted to take a little short on that myself. So I'm just watching the DAX and what that's up to. Just to see what happens when we get up to these highs. I might actually stick a limit. I'm going to stick a limit order up there with a fairly tight stop on it, just above the highs, basically. So I've got a limit order sitting just up here with a stop above the highs. So I'm just going to see if we can get up to there and get a double top. Potential here obviously is market structure. That's not really right, is it? More like that. So this could well be higher day where we opened today. We closed yesterday at high of day. If we're going to open at higher day, potentially this is where we should be looking for short opportunities for next leg down, and then a break of that opening range low if we're going south. So I'm just watching that level just to see if we get in. It's missed me at the moment, but I'm not going to push it. So yeah, so Euro Swiss looking good. Sell stops under the lows, not that big. I'm going to try another short on this one today. So we've had the reversal alert on M15. We're retesting at the moment. So I'm just going to get in short on this one and try another run to the downside. We're very nicely extended and I'm short euro. So this looks like a good spot to me. If this fails, I'll look to get in again somewhere up in this zone here, which will be up at ADR today with a second position, and then stop out somewhere up there, depending on what the price action does. But could well go from here today after this big, strong push. So looking for shorts on Euro Swiss. Looks like a good entry. Pound Swiss is also the same. Pound's outlook is not good. We've just hit this area of resistance as well on the pound Swiss. So another potential reason for a short. It's already rolled over this morning. If you look at M15, same as the euro basically. I much prefer the euro short because I think the euro is going to come down faster than the pound. But either of these you can take. They're both pretty much the same trade, both nicely extended on the 4 hour. Have been embedded. As I say, we didn't get that pullback on the first attempt. Now we're coming up for the second attempt. So hopefully this is where we're going to start to see that short. We've got divergence formed as well, bearish divergence formed on the 4 hour chart. So we're pushing up higher. Market isn't pushing higher with strength. So we should see some nice selling action starting to come through on that one as well. So pound Swiss, euro Swiss, very nicely extended. So I would only take one of those at the moment, just based on Swiss franc, because you're basically trading the Swiss franc at the minute. We know both of these are weak. So it's a case of waiting for a little bit of strength to come through on the Swissy, just to start that kind of cascade effect, and then people will start to sell into it, and hopefully these will start to get brought back down again. New Zealand dollar Swiss, again, very similar. We've only just got extended on that. This is looking a little bit more bullish, so not my favourite of those. I'd much rather be trading the Euro Swiss or the Pound Swiss. The Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar, we know, are both quite bullish at the moment, very strong. You can see we've obviously moved into an uptrend on this one. We're just pulling back at the moment into support, which we bounced off, had a reversal alert. So I'll be looking for longs on that, but a little bit late to be getting in there. You should have been getting in sort of a few days ago on it. It's extended to the upside. Quite possibly going to get a little bit of a pullback before a push up, but yeah, I wouldn't be looking really personally for shorting that one. More yens, and then we've got US dollar Swiss. So US dollar Swiss obviously is absolutely flying at the minute. Really embedded for the last week. We got extended the week before last as well. We had a tiny little pullback, and then we managed to break out of these highs, and then we flew all the way up to these highs and smashed through those as well. So US dollar, decent amount of strength, and obviously nothing on the Swiss franc. So again, this is a little bit like the yen. You can short this one at your peril at the moment. It's got lovely bearish engulfing just started up there, but I wouldn't really want to stand in the way of the US dollar at the minute. Money's got to flow somewhere. And at the moment, the US dollar's kind of not doing too bad, is it? If you look at the Dixie, which is the Euro US dollar upside down, Dixie's obviously pushing quite hard to the upside. And we've just broken these lows as well. So at the moment, we're kind of in a very wide range, at the top of the wide range, but we're holding. So I think the US dollars, I was expecting the US dollar to have a pullback, which I said obviously yesterday. I was looking for some kind of pullback to power up on the US dollar. They don't seem to have done that. They just have gone with it. So I wouldn't want to really be shorting against the US dollar either at the moment. No matter how extended we get on this, there's a high probability we will just pull back. I mean, there's a fairly good trade opportunity to pull back into there, but there is the option to flag and just go with another leg. So not particularly interested in shorting that. I think at the moment the best shorts out there are the Euro Swiss and the Pound Swiss. So those are the ones I'm going to sort of look at taking at the moment, and I'm going to scale into them with a couple of positions, same as I did before. A couple of positions, and then if I don't get it working, out. So I'm not taking any long-term positions with lots and lots of trades at the moment. I'm just keeping it fairly tight. Market's still a little bit too volatile and unpredictable. Obviously, the new wave of attacks has started in Ukraine. So Putin started going in more aggressively on the eastern side. Talk of sort of 1,200 to 1,600 targets being hit last night. So it seems like quite a massive offensive. And again, at any moment, NATO could get dragged into this, which is not going to be good for the euro, and it's not going to be good for the pound. So just staying on the short side, seeing if we get something that triggers that movement, and if that movement is triggered, this thing could come down substantially as it did before. So I'm looking basically to try and get myself into a position that I can hold. You see where my TPs were previously when I started shorting down here. That's still where I think we've got a good option to come down to the one level. But it's just timing at the moment. Very hard to time because we're not seeing profit takes happening at the moment in the way that we normally do. We're seeing accumulation and pushes. Which makes it very, very difficult for mean reversion because we're not getting those profit take pullbacks happening, which is not starting that cascade effect, which is not starting the selling frenzies. So it's very tricky. So that's all of the RSIs on the 4 hour. Hourly, we've got Aussie dollar Swiss. Nicely extended and embedded. As you can see, that's just starting to roll over. We haven't had a reversal alert on that on the hourly. M5, we've just had one. We had one earlier in the Asian session as well, which got invalidated. Nice 3-bar reversal on M5 there, which we put the reversal alert in. We've just retested and we're looking like we're dropping now. So there is a little bit of strength coming through on the Swiss franc. Whether or not it holds, who knows. Euro Swiss, just about to trigger into my trade, as you can see. So that's looking pretty good as well, extended on the hourly. So reversal alert just about to go in there. We've got another 40 minutes left on that candle, obviously, so plenty of time. But just starting to get a reversal alert on that. And as I say, at any moment, this could just go. So I'm just trying to get into it to sort of build a position short. And try and get a decent swing out of that Euro Swiss. But that's all I got really today. DAX just pulling up to the highs. What's happening with gold? Morning, Neo. Morning, David. If I haven't said David already, not quite sure. Can't remember. Gold, obviously we had that breakout on gold, and that has completely failed again. You know, what the hell is this thing up to? Looked like it was starting the next level out of this range down here. We had the breakout. We had the accumulation. We had the next breakout, and boom, collapsed. So I tried to long gold yesterday, and got hit again. I keep saying I will not long gold, and then I long it, and then it stings me in the bum, and then I don't trade it for another 2 or 3 months, and then I think actually maybe I'll have a look at gold because it looks good. I trade it, it stings me, I don't trade it again. My love-hate relationship continues. DAX coming down nicely. Massive bearish engulfing forming on the 5-minute. Didn't manage to get those highs. So see if we close. We've got 1 minute just over a minute left. See if we close to the downside. Be a nice short opportunity there. Going with the sell stop just under the lows. I'm going to get triggered into that before it even closes. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but... Okay, so I'm in short. So yeah, so gold, mystery. So much is a mystery at the moment. Price action is just all over the place. It's turning, literally, it's turning when it fancies it. Support and resistance is holding on lower time frames, but it's not holding longer term at all at the minute. It's just the market will go where it wants to go, wherever the money needs to be pushed. So very, very, very tricky to get into anything at the minute. David decided to get into New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Sells. Wouldn't be selling down there necessarily. At the moment, obviously, it is very bearish. So that's, if this is going to continue, obviously that is a good spot to be getting in. Anywhere down here is a good spot to be getting in. If it invalidates that high though, i.e. it breaks the 72, you want to be out, I think, on that, because we're probably witnessing a double bottom bounce. Got reversal alert down there, which is retested nicely, and then we just broken new highs. So market structure is just shifting at the moment, potentially. Very weak market structure, I have to say, though. So, yeah, could well be a nice short. But, again, it doesn't really matter what your bias is at the moment. You take your trade, you put your stop on, you have your risk reward, and some of them will play out, some of them won't. At the moment, the market really has no direction. You see, everything's taking just ages to stay in a range. We're moving into these big, wide ranges because nobody wants to put any money anywhere at the minute. They need to make money in the short term, but there's no longer term bias on anything. But could go either way. One way is going to be right, one way is going to be wrong. Nobody knows which way it's going to go. That looks like a lovely long reversal to me. We've had it validated with a new high, but look at it, it's just made a new high. We could just go into a range, accumulate and drop down for another leg. So yeah, could be a good short as well. It's difficult. Just got to take the trades at the minute and get into them and cross your fingers. Have some kind of directional bias if you can, based on fundamentals. But at the moment, you have to say everything is a short, don't you? Because there's no currency out there that is safe at the minute. The Australasian currencies are the safest things out there, and probably the US dollar. But everything else is, interest rates are going to keep going up. Cost of living is going to keep going up everywhere. Wages everywhere are either stabilising or not going up. It's just going to get harder and harder and harder for everybody. And obviously, as that happens, the economy will continue to shrink. Shrinking economies mean we need to make money in other ways. And it just becomes this snowball until finally we get to the point where everyone goes, nope. And the bubble bursts, and then we flip back the other way. But at the moment, the way the markets are going, this should continue for the foreseeable. Which will drag the currencies down with it as well. So, not a positive outlook, but this is a great example of how difficult this is at the minute. Yeah, it's total whipsaw nation. You could have literally flipped a coin all the last couple of weeks, and it's complete luck if you got it right that day. We're in turmoil. Dow, DAX, look at it. Massive upside wicks, Big downside wicks, huge upside and downside wicks. But look at where we've actually travelled. When you look at where this opened, yeah, there's very, very little movement. There's a lot of whipsawing, but very, very little market movement. Yeah, we closed here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days ago. Look where we've opened. Yeah, that's how far we've moved in 8 days. You know, it literally is a flip a coin at the minute. It's just so hard. Psychologically, it's very, very hard to trade any time frame, I'm finding at the moment anyway, personally. Just, you know, lower time frames are getting too whippy. You either catch it or you don't. When you catch it, it's very hard to hold on to it because it's so whippy. Higher time frames, you know, you can get into a trade. It's still on the Euro Swiss. I get into a trade and 4 or 5 days later, I'm still in the same spot in that trade I was 4 or 5 days ago when I entered. It's just gone up by 2% and down by 2%. You never know when you're going to get in and get out of stuff, do you? Very, very tricky. But RSIs at the moment, obviously, I think, like I said before, the hourly RSIs and 4 hourly RSIs, I think you've got to have a directional bias on this stuff. And I think staying in line with whatever the trend is at the moment is probably the best way. So if you see RSI extensions to the upside in a downtrend, those are the ones I'd be interested in taking at the minute, like the Euro Swiss. So yeah, nicely extended to the upside. We're in a downtrend. That's the sort of trade I'm looking for at the moment. Staying in line with what is going on fundamentally long term, which is doom and gloom pretty much everywhere. But hey, it is the world we live in. Cards we've been dealt. Just got to get on with them. So, looking for shorts there. That's the only trade I'm taking at the moment, Euro Swiss. Another crack at that one. And, I mean, this is where I think we're coming down to. So, I'm happy to add into this a couple of times on the way down. If we can crack like decent levels like this, yeah, add another position on, probably get a pullback, push down, get a reverse alert on the 4 hour, add another position on, and just got to go for those home runs, I think, at the minute. Long-term swings and give stuff plenty of space to move. Right. That DAX sell is just about to get stopped out. This is what I mean. It doesn't matter what you do at the moment. Well, it seems to me at the moment. It doesn't matter what I do at the minute. Whichever way I call market structure at the minute, the market just says nah. And then it goes yeah. And then you see the market structure form and it just comes back the other way at the moment. We just seem to be in these horrible whippy moves. Or, as I said yesterday, the trend just goes like that and then it sits there. You can't get on that. It doesn't give you an option. So you miss the moves or you just get chopped. It just seems to be the way of the world at the minute, doesn't it? That's how it feels to me anyway. Very difficult. But looking short today on the DAX, if I don't get this short, in fact, I might extend this a little bit up to above those highs. So I took 0.5%, so I'm probably increasing this to 0.8% risk. If it invalidates those highs, I'm not going to chase it long because I'm in too late. The entry would have been really there to get into that one. So I'm just not going to trade it. I've got to take some time out and try and refocus, basically. Anybody got any other pairs that they want to have a look at? Yeah, so these looks like it wants to come and do this gap fill, which means that DAX is probably going to get dragged along with it this morning, but it's whether or not the DAX can stay with divergence. So if we're pushing up to this, sort of up to here, if we can keep the DAX below the highs, by the time that gets there and that starts to come back down again, the DAX will probably drop. So just hoping for divergence on the DAX. And the Dow's not doing too bad. Dow's made new lows. But again, sideways at the minute. That is exactly what's happening to me. I missed the entry and then can't get in. Pullbacks are rare. Almost have to take the candle high, low. Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm finding at the minute, which is, as you just said, is getting into the trades like that yesterday. That move on the DAX yesterday. I got this, didn't I? I think I took that trade there. I got out there, and then it continued to scream to the upside. Then tried to fade it. And the fade turned into an entire session accumulation. If you didn't get that, you had no way of getting into that. You're not going to buy at resistance, so you wouldn't have bought there. By the time it had got through there, you had 1 bar pullback, and that's it. And then we stopped. And then it looked like a fade. And then the fade turned into a push up to the highs. You just can't get in. You get chopped around in there. So the sort of the way that I'm looking at this at the moment, and it's very similar to what I did this morning, is when the market opens, I'm taking a direction. Like I caught that this morning. I caught that basically. Market opened up here. We had a bear candle. I got in and it flew down and I got out. Yeah, that to me is the way to make the money out of this market at the moment. You get in with a 50-50 chance of being right in direction. If you're right in direction, hold it. If you're wrong in direction, you get out. Because you need to be in the market when that move starts, because it won't give you an opportunity to get in. And other than that, we seem to remember this. Other than this, you're getting this. And by the time you come to take a profit, you're like, right, we're going to start to take a profit down here. The thing flies back and you're like, oh, okay, I won't take a profit. I'll wait for it to start its next leg. And it just doesn't do a next leg. It's very, very, very whippy. I don't mind a whipsawing market, but this is ridiculous. It doesn't matter what time frame you look at. It's just getting, sitting here now. Look, if you missed this move this morning, yeah, we've been sitting there for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes now. We've been sitting there. And this is the thing that kills everybody, is the patience part. Having the patience to sit through this horrible, horrible chop, waiting for those moves to start. But I'm short at the moment, and I shall stay short, and it'll either work or it won't. And I shall hold it. I've looked at entering around the market open like that, and the spreads are crazy high at that time. Depends when you get. I mean, the spreads. If the spread is not as tight as it is here, and it's kind of like that, you're swing trading, aren't you? So it doesn't matter. Spreads are irrelevant when if you say I'm getting in with a view to getting down here somewhere, whether you get a spread like that or you get a spread like that, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, does it? When you're M1, M5 scalping high liquidity, yeah, you want a tight spread like this. But if you're getting in with a view, because basically what you're doing is you're going, right, what did we do yesterday? This is kind of the way that I look at it. What did we do yesterday? We had a massive up day. What do I think we're going to do today? Well, it's unlikely they're going to suddenly fly out the gates today, are they? If they do push up, they're probably going to want to drop it. So I'm going to take a short. And I'm going to play it for a decent amount of movement. So the spread is a lot less relevant, because you're really just saying, right, I think we're going to have a down day. And at some point today in the session, during London or New York, I'm going to get out of this short. I don't know when I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to look at my P&L and go, right, am I happy with that? Because you don't know where it's going to stop at the minute. Support and resistance is typically what we'd be looking at, but it works well in ranges. But for trends, if this is going to trend today, that's irrelevant. We could easily have an ADR day today, couldn't we? And put in about, think about what am I thinking might happen today? Bearish engulfing. And if so, 100 ADR is not out of the question, but at least 14,084, somewhere around that level, shouldn't be an issue if we're going to have a down day today. So just trying to think a little bit longer term at the minute. Little bit more risk and adding into those positions. Very, very tricky. But if you've got crazy high spreads around the open, it's probably a broker thing. Robo Forex is great. Look at the spread I've got on Robo Forex, especially on the DAX. The DAX is tight as you like. On the other indices, the spreads are a little bit bigger. But obviously these aren't open. These markets open New York, don't they? So different exchange, different liquidity. But DAX, can't even see it on M5. Look, there you go, tiny little spread. But most of the time you can't see the spread. It's that tight. I've actually got a slightly bigger spread on my Forex funds funded account. I've actually got a worse spread on that than I have on Robo Forex. But I think spread's the last thing I'm worried about at the moment. It's just trying to figure out the best way to make money at the minute. The market is the hardest part. So Euro Swiss, I'm in short. So I've got an initial position on that. I've got multiple positions scattered, ready to get in. Assuming that we are going to get a continuation move down. So I'm looking for a break of this level here to add to a second, and then a break of this accumulation to add a third, with a view of a drop, big drop on the Euro Swiss, on the Euro basically. Spreads now are fine, 90 points, but I see around 500 to 900 at the open. Blimey. Tightening up around 15 minutes before the session start. Yeah, I mean, that's quite high. I mean, Robo Forex, even here on Robo Forex, I'm not getting much more than that. Sort of 30 points basically spread. Very rarely get bigger than that. Might be trying to look at another broker. You might want to look at another broker for just index trading. Maybe just try Robo Forex for the DAX. Trade the DAX on Robo Forex and just use Robo Forex for DAX trading, because you're going to get super tight spreads, and also you don't get the pre-market data. You get proper Frankfurt data, so you get to see the gaps very, very easily as well. So it may be worth doing that. Just for that one. So Euro Swiss coming down very nicely. So that's a quick look at what's going on with everything at the minute. Aussie CAD, Aussie Swiss, CAD Swiss. So this is Swiss franc strength we've got coming through at the open. All the Swiss francs coming down. Nice US dollar Swiss. Nice move down on the US dollar Swiss. This is the move I was looking for yesterday. This is the move I was looking for here, which we didn't get. We got the breakout. So watch this level, 125 ADR, if you're shorting that one. So the rest of the Aussies, a little bit of a mixed bag. Yen's stabilising in London at the moment, so no continuation on the yen. We are getting that little, again, at the Asian session, we're starting to push up. So we've had this nice M pattern reversal on the Swiss yen. CAD yen, we didn't quite get the reversal. Euro yen didn't quite get it. Pound yen, just about to get it now. New Zealand yen didn't get it. US dollar yen we did. So all these yens, we are starting to see ever such slight signs of strength. But again, if this was proper yen strength, you would expect a move down quite violently today. So if that happens, then it's probably worth having a look at them, I think. But I want to see proper market structure formed on these. I want to see a good couple of legs down before I start getting interested in the yens. Euros opening fairly weak. Swiss francs obviously strong. Very weak pound this morning as well. Euro US dollar. I think we're going to get some US dollar weakness coming through. We are due a pullback on that. So yeah, very weak pound this morning. Again, is there any news that's just come out on the pound? No such thing as good or bad in exchange rates, says Japan government official. We don't care about our currency. New Zealand's not moving much, as you'd expect. So nice weak US dollar this morning as well. So good weakness in the US dollar. Again, watch these lows, but got a nice accumulation gap to fill there. Kind of says it all, doesn't it? Right, so there's a quick overview of everything. What's going on with Bitcoin? I haven't looked at this for a while. Bearish. Very good rejection on Bitcoin at the moment on the 4-hour. Does not want to break that level. Again, that bodes well for the indices. Obviously, the indices are falling in line at the moment with crypto, or crypto's falling in line with the indices rather. So the fact that that's doing a lot of bearish movement is good. So we are starting to come down on the DAX. If we break back down below these lows here, i.e. we break that back down below the 50, I'm going to look to add a second position in with a fairly decent stop somewhere around about these highs, with a view to adding on to that for a further short today, but we'll see. At the moment we've gone nowhere. In the last half an hour we are just sitting, propping up the 20, deciding which direction we're going to go. Right, that's all I've got for you this morning. I'll be back this afternoon for the New York Open, 2:20 as usual. We'll have a look at what's happened with the FX pairs today, see how that Euro's getting on. Prepare for basically the New York session. Again, I'm probably going to trade NASDAQ this afternoon, but again, 5-minute chart, having a look at where we are. And just basically looking for a fast breakout move at the open and see if we can hold on to a breakout move with a fairly decent position size and try and scalp quickly. And either catch that trend as it starts or just scalp out the market quickly with some decent profits and just try and get it in the bank as fast as possible. But I'm not going to be looking at 1-minute charts. I'm going to be concentrating on 5-minute and just play slower trades basically. Like I said yesterday with that, with the trades that we took, if we'd have traded them on the 5-minute chart, it wouldn't have given us a reason to get out for that entire trend. On 1-minute chart, we're getting out far too quick. So I think at the minute I'm going to go up to these slightly larger time frame where I was previously, and start looking for price action reversals, basically price action at the end of the day, but only on M5. Okay, so have a good morning. Hopefully we get a nice drop on the DAX this morning, and look to bank some on that. Hopefully Euro will drop as well today, and then we'll see how we get on this afternoon. But need to get some money back from yesterday's losses. So concentrating on slower moves and holding them. Try not to look at my charts at the minute. So, all right, guys, I'll be in the Telegram group if you need me. ADR's just hit on pound odd just before I disappear. Yeah, very, very weak pound today. She's not happy. We've also got a weak US dollar, so be careful of pound US dollar because that's obviously going to accumulate at the moment. We've got a weak US dollar and a weak pound equals sideways movement. So you can see that the pound is actually weaker than the US dollar at the minute, which is not surprising. But so yeah, pounds might be good for trend trades today. Looking for pullbacks into the support rectangle. Shorts. Okay, so have a good morning. I'll be back at 2:20. Hopefully it's profitable, and I will see you then. Have a good one.